Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Jashin sealed inside of him. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Had a New Dream That Would Change Everything over on Anime King 2. And yes, if you're new and you're wondering, I have 3 channels guys, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. I post what if every single day on each of the channels, so 3 what ifs a day for you guys to enjoy. So if you haven't joined Anime King family yet, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, we had a look into Naruto's life, as how everything was from his point of view. Growing up, he never knew why people hated him. He heard from the maid that he did something bad, very bad. Unknowing to him, Jashin took over his body because his mind was not developed yet, as she tried to kill Kushina, just to make Minato retaliate and kill Naruto, so that she could be free from this house. She tried to burn the house down, but Naruto was stopped when he was younger, as Minato was surprised by the boy's strength. After all, he was just a kid, and yet he was ridiculously strong for someone so young. As Jashin, being inside of Naruto had changed him in more ways than one, and Naruto had gained enough sense by the time he was 4 years old to realize that it wasn't him doing all of these things. He called out to his mother, as he told her that he was okay now. He begged her to talk to him, but Kushina, still frightened of what happened, backed away from him as she didn't answer him, no matter how much he called. Wanted his other 2 children to keep safe Minato. Made it known that Naruto was the one that had the beast inside of him. So everyone blamed Naruto, seeing that he was weak. And without Jashin taking possession of him, he didn't have the strength to fight it off, as he was mercilessly beaten by the villagers, as it was his birthday when he was beaten severely. The family was passing by, as they saw what happened, only for Minato and Kushina to stir the other kids away, shocking Naruto that they actually saw what happened, and they decided to leave him to his fate. Yes, he couldn't believe it, as everything just snapped with him right there and then, as he wondered what was the point of living anymore, if they hate him, and didn't even want to be seen as his family. It was better if he just died. That was what he thought. Yes, it would be better if he was just gone from this world entirely. It was then that he woke up in his mindscape, as he met Jashin and the Kyuubi, as he asked him if they had the power to take his life. That is what the both of them had been waiting for, the opportunity for him to break and allow them their freedom. But Jashin had another plan in mind though, as she saw something that intrigued her. A boy, his mind completely blank, not having the will to go on anymore. If his body was destroyed now, it would take a while for the Kyuubi to re-reform. So she went along with Jashin's plan, as they decided to turn Naruto into something menacing, something so vile and corrupted, he will change the very aspect of this world. They warped his sense of mind into something rather dark, changing his very aspect on things. But it wasn't only the mental change that happened, physical changes as his body started to develop even faster, stronger, with the 2 ungodly power coursing through his veins. The darkness and the malicious power of the Kyuubi is here turned completely black, changing, and his eyes turned red, being his standard look from now on. Naruto was taken in by the both of them, as they corrupted and twisted his mind into something dark and wicked. Naruto was taken to the evaluation by Inoichi. The man spoke to Naruto as he tried to get a grasp of Naruto's mind. The boy did not know much. It was because of isolation, Inoichi surmised. But he didn't see Naruto as a threat. The boy actually seemed like A good kid if you got to know him, but not a threat. As Minato and Jiraiya stood there watching as they got the report from Inoichi, they decided it was best if they made him go to school. Yes, they could make him go to school. As despite him being, well, different, he could be a valuable asset to Konoha, as Kushina tried to get console from her friend Mikoto, who told her that after everything that happened to her back then, she was in her right to do that as she didn't know what happened to her boy, and she, well, couldn't be blamed. Making Kushina thought that she did the right thing back then because she didn't know what happened to him, but now he was different because he hadn't done anything out of the way for a year now. But still, they have already done bad, and it had changed him too much. Furthermore, the being inside of him, the being of death and suffering, Jashin, had twisted his mind in a way by showing him things that no kid should see, and the Kyuubi was a part of it. Well, Jashin was forcing her against her will to do things to her, but still, it warped Naruto's sense of mind of living, and it was changing him completely. So yeah guys, those basically what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So this is the beginning of this new episode. A few days before the school year began, Mito was currently looking at her brother, well, Menma, as she has never went to go visit her other brother before. She had looked towards the door more than once, but she never went down there. They were forbidden to go down there by their mother and father, and they never did. Menma always listened to his father. Yes, he listened to his father more than his mother. He was like an exact copy of him in the first place, as the both of them look so similar except for the hair. And he wanted to be a Hokage as well, to follow in his father's footsteps because he thought that was the right thing to do. Mito on the other hand was more carefree. She had her mother temper, but nothing too wild, but she was calm and reliable, and sweet for her own good. But still, her mind was being warped by Menma. Look, it's been you and me from the beginning. If that thing is gonna go to school with us, we have to pretend like we don't know him. What? But he's our brother. He's no brother of ours. That thing in there is a monster. Mother and father has already told us that. You have to listen to me, Mito. If people see us hanging out with him or even talking to him, they will see us as a pariah, as a monster, harbinger. To think that we live in the same house as him, but to be associated with him, that would be bad. Do you understand me? He said, as he looked at her with a stern gaze. Who are you gonna pick? Me, or that thing you barely know? Anyone would have picked the person that they grew up with their entire life, and Mito wasn't an exception. You, brother, she said. Good. So, I'm sure that he won't talk to us, and if he does, just ignore him. He'll probably take the hint and go away. She nodded. Back to the present time in the office, as Minato was with Jiraiya. Today the new rookies are going to start the academy, and he will have to be there to give a speech. The parents, most of the clan head children were going to be starting today. Unfortunately, seeing that they decided too late, Naruto had to be placed in that class. It was the only one left open, as the others had already been filled up. He got a lot of complaints, but he personally went by each and every family telling them that the boy won't be a threat. He knew if this rumor got out of hand, people would do drastic things, and his other children were still there. So he decided to go around by the families and calm their nerves. Seeing that their Hokage was the one that came to personally visit them, the families felt like everything was going to be okay, even though that demon was going to be in the class. Jiraiya snapped Minato to his thoughts. You hear me? Yeah, said Minato. So, about this group, he said. Not a group, a country, said Jiraiya. Yukigakure. It has been a small, mining country, but now things is changing over there. These gluttonies. I don't know exactly what to refer them to, but the reports are just insane, said Jiraiya. Man-harbinging monsters that are able to escape even mortal wounds. Are you sure that's not over-exaggerating them? Asked Minato. Well, I've got sources from everyone saying that this report is right. I've heard that they took spears through the heart, through the throat, and through the head. They're quite psychotic. They haven't done anything to the major nations yet, but they have slaughtered bandit camps. They have completely conquered smaller villages. They said that they go in the name of their lord Jashin. The leader of this little ragtag group that has taken over Yukigakure. His name is Hidan. He proudly states that he will slaughter anyone that tries anything. Given that he's basically immortal, there hasn't been much resistance to attack Yukigakure. And seeing that he hasn't tampered with other villages yet, people have been leaving him be. But I fear that this will drive over into the elemental nations, onto the minor ones. Things aren't looking so good at the border. There has been slaughters in various kinds. Things that would make even our stomach hurl. Beheading, bodies brutally ripped apart. It's like they're almost feasting on them. And these people, do you think they're human? Said Minato. That, I'm not sure. If I would have to specify them to something, I would have to say they're one of those cruel experiments that Orochimaru created. But this doesn't have anything to do with him. No, I'm afraid not, said Jiraiya. They're praising this person called Jashin. They said that this person is supposed to be a god that they worship. A god of death and harbinger. But I have no idea who exactly it is. I've never heard of that god before. But this group is growing in size, getting new followers. And would you advise me to do something about it, Minato asks. No, that's exactly why I'm here. I would refrain you send anyone from Konoha there until I get more information. So any mission that has to do near to Yukigakure, I suggest you make them stay behind and do not accept that mission. If you can't kill them, your shinobis will only be slaughtered. And something like that wouldn't be good. Alright, fine, said Minato. For now, we'll leave it alone until you find out what the hell is going on there. Jiraiya nodded. He looked over towards the clock on the wall. Shouldn't you get going, he asked. Minato nodded as he got to his feet. Hey, how's things going with him, Jiraiya asked. Well, I'm sure that Kushina took Mito and Menma to school. The head maid Lily would be showing him the direction, since he doesn't know where the academy is. And what about the essential? Well, Kushina took it upon herself to buy them for him. Really? Said Jiraiya. I told her that Lily could do it, but she said that she wanted to at least do this. She still cares about the boy a lot, doesn't she? As Minato said nothing as he released a sigh. We still have no idea what happened to him, or how he turned out this way. But I'm afraid that any sort of relationship building or bonding between us won't work. I'm sure by now he probably hates us or everything. But that mental scan, he doesn't seem to understand much, or even comprehend what exactly is going on. I don't suppose that your chances are close with him yet. Perhaps you could find a way. Given that he's now back to normal, if I can say that, perhaps you could find a way to, well, make him understand that that was for his own good somehow. And do you really think that you will buy that? Come on, Minato. The boy didn't understand most things, even a couple of simple words, because he was never properly trained. This all made me sound really bad, doesn't it? Yeah, but it's not like it's your fault. Things are out of your control. After all, if you weren't there, Kushina and your two other kids would have probably been dead by now. Yeah, I guess you're right. As he looked through the window, meanwhile, Lily wasn't having a good day at all, as she glanced down towards a demon walking beside her. She really hated this part of the job, to be in any close contact with a demon. She had tried many times before of killing him, by spiking his food with poison every time she brought it to him. But to her surprise, he survived. She couldn't, well, physically harm him, because she was the last one in there, and they will all know. So she tried to poison him from the inside, but yet he survived, and that was rather confusing for her. One time she laced his food with so much poison that would have taken out at least an entire clan, but yet still he survived. And his plate was clean, that means he ate all of it, so that was rather surprising. His mother had offered to do the shopping for him, and she bought him a lot of clothes. After all, they weren't really stingy when it comes to money. She was the last remaining member of the Uzumaki clan, and all of the inheritance, everything went to her. And Minato was a Hokage, so they had it to spare. And Lily meant a lot. They bought him so much things. It seems like Kushina was trying to compensate for not being there for him or something because it was just so much. But she had to be the one to take him to school. Something that she hated to do, as people eyes were on her as well. He wasn't paying attention to any of them though his head was straight. He was dressed in a black jacket with a white shirt underneath. The jacket was long sleeve, as he covered his arms with them. Yes, he pulled his arms back so the jacket hung lowly to the side, the sleeves just flopping in the air. He had unzipped it at the front, showing his white shirt, black sandals, and he had on a black shorts that went down towards his knees. He was wearing a small backpack on his back, as Kushina had got him the essentials, but she refrained from coming anywhere close to him, or even seeing him, or even talking to him. Lily never asked herself before she wondered how the boy felt because of all this. He doesn't seem to have much emotions, as much as the people glare. So much hateful glares towards him that caused her to shiver because she was in close proximity, but yet still he didn't even budge or look afraid. She came to a stop. Alright, there it is, she said. That big yellow building over there. I'll be going back now. She walked away without saying another word. After all, it wasn't her concern how he got to school. After all, she showed him it. That was her job. As Naruto did not move, she looked at him for a second before she simply huffed. She saw the villagers all glaring at him. If he happened to get beat up before he reached school, it wasn't her fault. She brought him close enough. So with that, Lily made her way back to make sure that everything was set and clean before the Namikazes returned home. When do I get to kill her? Naruto asks. In all due time, my precious Naruto-kun, said Jashin. Yes, and we will make sure that it's painful so you can watch the light leave that bitch's eyes, said the Kyuubi. She has been the most harmful to you when it comes to verbal talking. So, we indeed are gonna make her suffer. Yes, we are, said Naruto, as he looked up at the building. Don't be afraid, Naruto-kun. I'm not afraid, Naruto said. Of course you aren't. After all, you aren't afraid of anything, aren't you? I'm not, said Naruto, as he started to walk forward. So do I get to kill the academy students, he asks. Oh, not yet. In all due time, though. We do want you to do something, said the Kyuubi. Will you do something for us? Anything, said Naruto. We want you to kill all the members of the Uchiha clan, said Jashin. The Uchiha clan, said Naruto. Yes. When you were younger, overheard your father say that there was many, problems going on with the Uchiha clan because they were being pushed back in the village, further and further, and they didn't like it one bit. But he seems to have solved that. But we want you to slaughter every last one of them, said the Kyuubi. It shall be done, said Naruto. When do I do it? Oh, not yet. You have to be prepared. We don't want anyone to find out about your little debacle until we're finished here with Konoha. But all of them will die. You see, Naruto-kun, their eyes can control the Kyuubi. What? Said Naruto. Yes. And they would use it to enslave me. As Naruto's eyes started to twitch, as he clenched his fist tight. I promise you, I'll kill every single one of them. Yes, you will, my lovely Naruto-kun. In fact, one of them were the reason why I'm trapped now, and I'm unable to see the daylight. What do you mean? One of them had controlled me. Is he in this village? Naruto asks. No, I'm afraid not. But they still have the power to control me. So I want you to get rid of them. Will you do that for me? Said the Kyuubi. Of course. I'll do anything for you, said Naruto. As he started to walk, the plants that were near the schoolyard, as he walked past them, his hand brushing through them, they started to decay. They started to get dried up. The dark laughter of Jashin in his mind could be heard as Naruto made his way inside the academy, inside his mindscape. Well, seems like everything is going perfectly, said the Kyuubi. Indeed it is, said Jashin. You know, I'm doing you a huge favor right here, to allow you to use my little pawn to destroy the Uchiha clan. Your pawn? Said the Kyuubi. Well, our pawn. But as you can see, he's completely loyal to us. But when we start to make him slaughter the clan, I will convert him. What do you mean? Said the Kyuubi. Oh, you'll see. It's just something to help him get a lot stronger. But as strong as he is, the clan is full of highly trained ninjas. So we'll have to do this in the dead of night. And I have an ability, something that will make him be undetectable by the rest of the village as he does it. Have you done changing his body to the max? Asked the Kyuubi. Well, Jashin walked over. There was a orb with a light blue and mostly dark over it. I have started to integrate my abilities. Things that this world will find rather shocking into him. The more his body grows, the more he will adapt to them. I suggest you start doing the same. He will need the extra power to wipe out the entire clan. But as long as I'm in here, he'll be fine. Once he gives me control, I can use that control to use more of my power through him. And then it will all be over. And we can watch all of them die. You like that, right? The Kyuubi smirk at that. To see all of those wretched, red-eyed freaks put down. Of course I do. As Jashin licked her lips. Well then, I suppose you owe me for my favor that I'll be granting you. Well, Naruto-kun was gonna do it for me either way. So it's not like you were the one that asked him in the beginning. But this was my plan after all. We were gonna kill the boy so that we could get our freedom. But instead we find a more better way to use him. Well, not really. After all, he's gonna be our champion soon enough. But still, he's gonna get powerful and more bloodlusted out of this. So it's a win-win situation. Now, how about you repay that favor with what the Kyuubi asks? Come on. Do you even have to ask? Jashin asks, as she licked her lips once again. Meanwhile, as Kushina was currently sitting down, all the children were gathered with their parents. She looked over as she saw Hitomi, Mikoto, everyone was here. Hitomi was Hinata's mother. As she saw Hinata speaking to Menma, Hinata had the same cold feeling as all the Hyugas. Not as cold as the others, but her father's been training her quite well. As she was different from most young girls, she was already trained in the arts of fighting, and she was quite powerful for her age, given that she was only 7 years old. Menma had a crush on her, as Kushina always teased him about it, and he really does. And Hinata seemed to like him as well. They would be a wonderful couple. She would have to talk to Hitomi about this. As she looked over at young Sasuke, with a smile as he was standing with his big brother. His father was not here, it seems. Minato was not here either, but he would be giving a speech later on. As she looked at Mito, who was talking to Shikamaru Nara and Ino Yamanaka, her two friends. There was many others as well, as this girl, Sakura Haruno, and many others. Yes, they had made friends rather quickly after she brought them to the park. Her children were quite quick in making friends. She eye-smiled at Mikoto as Mikoto smiled back. As she looked down at young Sasuke. Come on, Sasuke-kun, she said. As she brought him over, Sasuke had a rather, well, it seems arrogant. She didn't know why, but the smirk seemed rather arrogant on his face. But why would he be looking this way? As he glanced towards his big brother, he was acting arrogant because his big brother Itachi was here. He was a rather funny kid, she thought to herself. Hello there, Itachi, said Kushina. Hello there again, Kushina-sama, said Itachi, as he gave her a smile. Sasuke, said Mikoto. Sasuke gave her a small bow. Nice to see you again, he said. She reached over as she picked him up, startling Sasuke. As he looked at his mother, who started to laugh a bit, as he looked rather worried. You're just a cute little boy, aren't you, she said, as she tickled his nose with her hand. Stop it, he said, as he chuckled and placed him back down. He fixed his clothing as he puffed out his cheeks. He's just a little baby and he's already trying to be a big man, said Mikoto. Yes, he is. Same with my Menma. The only thing he wants to do is train. Wants to be just like his father. The rest of the parents start to file in, as everyone started to take their seat. As Kushina glanced around, she thought he would be here by now, as she didn't see Naruto anywhere, as Lily was the one to bring him to school. It was then they all felt it, even the civilian parents. A strange feeling of dread and death filled the area. It was so petrifying. Some of these kids started to get nervous, like they wanted to cry. Kushina didn't understand. What the hell was this, she thought to herself. This was beyond. This has nothing to do with the Kyuubi, as she had the Kyuubi inside of her, and she had sensing power. She knew what it felt like, even as malicious and dangerous it was. But this was different. This felt like death itself. Something... The door slid open as Aruka eyes snapped towards it, along with several of the other teachers that were there. A simple boy poked his head in. His black messy hair fall on his shoulders. His red eyes scanned the room. Gasps could be heard from all the civilian parents, shocked to see him here. He stepped inside. Mito glanced over towards him. Before looking back at Minma, he shook his head no. As she nodded. As Naruto walked inside, all eyes were on him. Murmurs started up, as everyone was focused directly on him. Hey, isn't that your brother? Asked Hinata. He's no brother of mine, said Minma. She said nothing else as he just kept on watching him. His red eyes scanned the entire room until he saw an empty chair. As he went and sat down right in the corner by himself, all of the parents and students that were nearby scooted away from him. As Kushina looked towards him, his eyes turned and both of their eyes met. For a moment she just kept her gaze on him. To her surprise, he smiled. He smiled at her. Before he turned his gaze back to the window. The head of the academy cleared his throat, getting everyone's attention as they started to focus, but the whispers and murmurs were still there. They thought the monster would come up on a day when they weren't here. Or he wouldn't be around their children, he would be in a secluded area of the class, by himself. But they gave him so much free reign. The parents didn't like that so much. As Mikato placed a hand on Kushina's shoulder. It's gonna be alright, she said, as she gave her eye smile. Thanks, Kushina said. Come on, what are our friends for? Said Mikato. As the man started to speak about the new school year and the term, eyes kept on looking over at Naruto, who simply did not care one bit. He then got up rather quickly, as their eyes followed him. The academy head stopped talking as he watched the boy. Naruto hopped up on the stage, surprising the man, but he did not come beside him. He went towards the back room that was behind the stage. He came back out to the decks. No one said anything to him, as he brought the decks down and placed it in front of his chair, before sitting back down. As he then propped his legs up on the decks, he started to fall back as he laughed. As he hit the ground, he laughed it off. Cool, he said as he got back up, before doing the same thing over again. As he laughed once again. Everyone find this strange because that was something a kid would do. But he wasn't a normal kid, right? Suddenly, there was a flash that caught everyone's attention as he looked towards the front to see none other than their beloved Hokage, Minato the Mikaze, as he gave them all a gracious smile. Many of the younger girls started to blush, many of the older ones as well. Many of them seemed rather obsessed with their husband as usual. He's just so pretty. Sometimes he looked even more feminine than me, said Kushina. Mikato giggled a bit. I guess you're right. The door then opened up as someone came in. Well, your husband is here as well. As Mikato turned, Fukaku said that he would be here if he had time. It seems like he did. Luckily she had saved a seat for him. She removed her bag from the seat, as she didn't want Naruto sitting near her, so she placed her bag on it like it was occupied. He came over as Sasuke smiled, seeing his father as he sat down. I'm glad you're here, said Mikato. He simply gave her a small smile as he looked towards his two sons. Itachi nodded his father, and Sasuke smiled back at him. As everyone turned their head towards the Hokage, Minato wasn't saying anything though as he glanced towards Naruto, who wasn't looking at him at all. He was looking through the window, with a smile on his face, his eyes staring at something intensely. As Minato wondered what it was, but there was nothing out there or no one. So he decided to just, continue on with his speech. By the time everything was said and done, the parents started to hug their kids, as they would be taken away towards their block where their classroom was, for their teacher to start and explain more in depth to them about the academy and how everything was gonna be treated after she'd done hug her 2 kids. She turned. Naruto was already gone. Well, it wasn't like she was gonna go up to him and hug him, but he went away before everyone else. Did he even know where the cell block was, she wondered. She felt a hand on her shoulder as she turned to see Minato. Is everything alright? He asked. Yes, I'm fine, she said. Nothing for you to worry about. He knew that something was troubling her, most likely Naruto, as he saw that look on her face plenty of time before when she was thinking about Naruto and the things that happened in the past. It's fine, she said. It seems like 2 other person wants a hug, she said as she turned her head. As main man Mito was standing there. He knew how Menma was. The boy get embarrassed by physical emotion, especially from his parents. Despite him idolizing Minato, he wanted to always look strong. That is why he never cried when he scraped his knee, when he fell or anything. But Mito was completely different as she ran. Her father quickly caught her as she jumped right into his arms. See you later, Dad, she said as she hugged him tight. He pulled back and kissed her on the forehead. See you later, he said. Dad? He looked down as Menma held out his hand. He held his son's hand in a handshake before pulling him together and hugging him tight. Laughing could be heard as Menma turned and glared at Kiba and the others who were laughing at him. Dad, you're embarrassing me. Well, I'm your father. You shouldn't be embarrassed, he said as he kept on hugging Menma as he started kissing him on the forehead and the cheek. Dad, stop it, said Menma as he started to get red. Kushina started to laugh, her mood getting easier as Minato smiled. At least this eased her out a bit. He placed Menma down as he started to grumble before he was slapped over the head. Hey, what's the big deal, he says. He turned towards Mito. Dad love you. Love him back, she said. He grumbled again as she slapped him over the head. Huh. More and more she's getting her temper, huh? Said Mikato. Yeah, it seems that way. Itachi looked down. Sasuke? What's wrong? That girl scares me, said Sasuke as he looked over towards Mito. Itachi started to laugh silently as he shook his head. She's not a bad person. She's just hyperactive. Sasuke didn't think that though. Whenever they went over to the house, she scared him. She turned her head. Her smile got deep and cruel. Sasuke, she said as she started to walk over. She realized that despite this kind of rivalry that Sasuke and her brother had, he was afraid to talk to her. She thought that he might have a crush on her. The same thing that her brother had on Hinata. But her brother talked to Hinata, but Sasuke was just afraid to talk to her. She realized that he was afraid of her for some reason. She didn't know why. So she just started to do it on purpose, just to see him scared to laugh. And he was rather afraid at the moment as he went behind Itachi's leg. Mito came over. Itachi-san, she said. Can I play with Sasuke, she asked. Sasuke looked up as he shook his head to his brother frantically. Itachi simply smiled. Oh, of course, Mito-san, he said. He's right here. You traitor. As Mito grabbed Sasuke's hand, help me, he pleaded with his eyes. But he was pulled away. Itachi felt a hand on his shoulder as he turned to see his father. A grim look was on his father's face. He already knew what this was about. He simply nodded. We'll talk about this later, said Fukaku. After all, despite Minato being the Hokage, things were still really bad with the clan. Especially when it came to Danzo Shimura. Even the 2 other elders, that was Sarutobi advisor that Minato decided to keep around, was still having told for his clan. As Danzo believed that it was one of the Uchihas that controlled the fox at night after Minato had came back to say that the eyes of the fox were showing the Sharingan. So the rest of the council didn't really like the Uchiha clan that much, thinking that they brought death upon their village. But the council never released this information to the rest of the village after all. It would just ostracize the Uchiha clan even more. So Minato made it a secret to keep it quiet. So only the council members knew about this. But they still thought that they were the one that controlled the fox at night. So ever since then, at the council meeting, things had been rather tense and the Uchiha clan had still been pushed back. And Minato, well, everyone of the council believed this. So he had to appease the council in some way or another. So he went along with it. But he wasn't about to let the Uchiha clan suffer the ostracization for too long. as he had talks with Fukaku to make sure that they were still on the right side. But Fukaku didn't really care at the moment, as enough was enough. Soon enough, it was gonna cause something to snap. And his clan and him are gonna show Konoha that they pushed the wrong clan. After all, if Uchiha was a Hokage, things would be a lot different. Time skip. Is that it? Said Naruto. I have to go through all of that? Yes, I'm afraid so, said the Kyuubi. But it's boring. When do I get to actually do something? Not yet, Naruto-kun. We can't have you breaking your cover yet. If you were to do something right now, I'm afraid the entire Hidden Leaf will be upon you. And it will just be more hectic to do what you have to do. Naruto sighed. Alright, he said, as Jashin smiled in the mindscape. But now that you're free, you don't have to go directly home. After all, you could take a detour, said the Kyuubi. Yeah, you're right, he said, as he started to make his way around the village. It has been a whole year since he walked through the village, since last beaten. Ever since then, he kept himself and hid in the shadows. But now, after all their rigorous training, he has gotten stronger. His body, his mind, has steel. So there was no reason for him to be afraid of the civilians, who can't really hurt him anymore. That is why he walked directly through the district. Everyone eyes on him. He did not care. He heard the words as demon, scum. But he still didn't care one bit. As they spoke behind his back, none of them would come to his face and say that, because he would literally tear it off. For most kids, having fun was all that they did. Well, Menma was different, seeing that he was just obsessed with being like his father. But most kids just relax. Naruto never had that obligation, that joy. That is why doing something as stupid as falling off of a chair made him a bit excited. But something was always on his mind. His instinct to kill. After all, having a ancient tailed beast inside of your body, twisting your very mind and soul, and another being for harbinger of death, twisting your mind, it could change a person a lot. So Naruto has long since snapped, but he hasn't had a way to show it yet. Well, it will be soon enough. As he had just overheard the teachers at the academy, all of these nonsense, these craps about tests, spars with these idiotic children, it seems like a big waste of time to him. Well, he supposed he could just kill them if they want to spar with him. No, the teacher would prevent him from doing that. And if he killed the teacher, then that would cause a lot of problem. And he wanted to make sure everything worked perfectly as Jashin. And the Kyuubi said, and he will do anything for them. So he decided to just hold his own for now. Naruto found himself at the training ground. There's no one around, said Jashin. You can do it now. As he nodded, holding his hand in front of him, a deep black smoke started to emerge. It shot towards a nearby tree and encircled it. As Naruto started to pull the smoke back to him, it rushed into his body. His eyes pulsed for a moment before he dropped to his knees. That was amazing, right? Yes, said Naruto. The tree fell over and died. All the leaves were gone. The trunk had been torn like it had decayed over time. As Naruto had sucked the force out of the tree, the very essence of the tree into his body, something that Jashin taught him. He did it to the small rodents that were in his cell. But he never actually did to a tree like this, of this size before. The rodents didn't have much, but it made him stronger, his body stronger. But to do it to a human, that was where the real challenge came in. As he smiled, as he wondered how much stronger will he get, absorbing someone's life force into his own. Don't worry, Naruto-kun. In due time, you will do it all, said Jashin. You just continue to work on those techniques that I've showed you. Jashin didn't really have techniques of her own like a ninja. After all, she never needed them before. But she did learn a few things and create a few things here and there where she saw. After all, she had watched humanity for a long time now. Jashin knew everything about this world. Things that Naruto wouldn't even comprehend. After all, she was here before the beginning, so she knew everything. She was here before man ever walked this planet, and she had watched over this place, and she had tried her experiments a long time ago. Something that she was currently doing to Naruto. Something that would make him much, much better. Something that was good for her. Because in all of her time, she has never been able to actually walk the earth. The one time she was able to do that was by using Naruto's body to move. That was the first time she ever took a step on this earth. Otherwise, she was just a ghostly figure, unable to do much, just then watch. But now she was able to interact with the world, something that delighted her. That was one of the main reasons why she decided to stay in Naruto's body for now, until she was ready, until she worked out her plan perfectly, as everything would work in her favor. It was gonna be so wonderful, and her little Naruto-kun would help her do it. And the moment she was able to get a real footing on this earth, her brother would suffer. After all, once she did, everything, all of the souls would be hers. And once she had all of the souls, the amount of power that one soul would grant her to consume so many, she would be unstoppable. Break the realm of what she already was into another divine being. Something that triumphed over her brother and any other celestial being. And her Naruto-kun will help her do it, one way or another. She might have to break him some more for him to completely devote himself to her. As things are going right now, it's rather perfect. She felt something. Naruto-kun, you're being watched, she said. Watched? By who, he asks. I'm not sure, but this person barely has any emotions. But they're not here to kill you. Seems like they want to bring you somewhere. You can tell all of that even while you're sitting here, asks Kyubey. Well, my sensory ability is better than yours. Sorry, Toots, but remember that I'm stronger. Don't call me that, said the Kyubey. What? You have giant breasts. Naruto-kun, would you like to see me fondle her breasts? Sure, said Naruto. We don't have time for this, said the Kyubey. Why not, asked Jashin. The Kyubey sighed. Where is this person now? He's still watching Naruto. He's there in the bushes. Naruto-kun, don't attack him, okay? Don't attack him? Yes. Let him take you. Wait, are you serious? Ask the Kyubey. As I said, I can sense it. He doesn't want to harm him. Turn your back, Naruto-kun, she said. Naruto nodded as he turned around. Now stay perfectly still. Everything went black for Naruto as something hit him in the back of the neck. And his body was picked up by the root agent and he was gone. Danzo Shimura was a man that hated Minato. The man hated Minato so much he was willing to do absolutely anything to see him dethroned of the title as Hokage. He didn't deserve it. Being as powerful as he was just a naive, stupid fool that let his emotion control his ever-ruling. And Danzo couldn't allow that. Sarutobi was dead. The game of seeing which one of them would come out on top was done for. And he hated Minato. So he was gonna do anything that is possible to make Minato fall, one way or another. The title of Hokage belongs to him, now that Sarutobi is gone. Or else this village would certainly fall. It doesn't matter how strong Minato was, if he doesn't have the cold heart to do the things that were necessary. So for that very reason, Danzo was elated to find out that the man had released the Kyubey container, who has been neglected and treated like garbage its entire life. Now was a perfect chance to communicate with him. But Danzo wasn't sure of his mental state, so he had to keep his identity hidden just in case. That is why he was also wearing a mask when the boy was dumped right in front of him. Where am I? Said Naruto. Look up, boy. As Naruto did the exact thing, looking up at the mask, there was just two eye holes. Who are these guys? Said Naruto in his mind. I have no idea. But if they try anything, just give in, and I'll handle it, okay? Yes, said Naruto. Just hear what he has to say. Tell me, do you hate your father? The question was direct and fast. Say yes. Yes, said Naruto. Why are we going along with this, the Kyubey asked. Let's see what this man's intentions are. He seems like he really hates Naruto's father as well. This could be good. If you say so, said the Kyubey. Well, why do you hate your father? Repeat after me, said Jashin. As Naruto looked up, because he's a piece of garbage who treated me like crap for my entire life, and I detest everything about him. You know that he's a Hokage, and speaking of him in this way, especially who you are, it could cause you some serious problems. Do you even know what you are? Asks Danzo. Yes. I am the beast holder, correct? Yes, Danzo said. Seems like you're smart and you let on. Do you know that it was your father that placed the beast inside you and leave you to suffer the hand of the villagers? Yes. That is the main reason I detest him. Good, said Danzo. Do you wish to see him dethroned and suffer for all that he did to you? Yes. Danzo smiled. Everything was working out so perfectly. And what do you want after that? I want to kill as much as I can. Kill, as in who, Danzo asks. Anyone. As long as I get the order, I would kill. To vent out my frustration and my rage on all those problems that happened to me in my past. I just want to kill. Danzo was surprised. This kid was just 6 or 7 years old. In the way he was speaking, it seemed so sensible. So you just want to make others suffer like you did, Danzo asks. Yes. Well then, if your father was dethroned, I could give you the opportunity to kill anyone you want. To go in the elemental nation, crushing nations with the power that you have inside of you. Would you like that, Danzo asks. Indeed. Can you grant me that opportunity, Naruto asks. Yes. But first we will have to get rid of your father. Would you like to work with me to accomplish that goal? I'll even let you slit his throat. What about my mother and my siblings? Danzo knew that this part would be a problem. I would like to kill them as well. Danzo was taken aback. That was unexpected. Well then, child. This will work out perfectly. I will contact you, Danzo said. Naruto was chopped in the back of the neck again as he fell down. As he was taken away, return him. Make sure you're not seen. The root nodded as Naruto was gone. Danzo took off the mask. He expected things to be, well, bad, but this was perfect. The boy detested each and every one of them. That meant things would go well. And not to mention this boy just wanted to kill. And the way he spoke, he said it without any emotion. Danzo felt giddy at the thought of having a rampaging beast serve Konoha under his command. This boy didn't seem like he wanted to lead. He just wanted the slaughter. It might take a couple of years, but everything would work out perfectly for him. Yes, indeed. Minato will not stay Hokage for longer. After all, a man who couldn't see how useless the Uchiha clan was because they weren't under his control didn't need to become Hokage. He needed to have the Uchiha clan exterminated. After all, he needed some of their eyes for a special project that him and one of his associates has been talking about. Yes, none other than the Snake Son himself, the traitor, who Danzo still had contact with, Orochimaru of the Sannin. Time skip. Naruto was back in his cell. His food in front of him, but his eyes were closed. He had woken up back in the training ground. He then came back home. As he hadn't seen any of them inside the house, he just came back and came to his cell. At the moment he was in his mindscape. I'm surprised. Everything worked out perfectly, said the Kyuubi. I told you I wasn't wrong, said Jashin. I could sense it in that man. He has a hatred that is more pronounced for Minato. Yes. Just how much as you hate your father, Naruto-kun, she said. That's impossible. No one hates that man more than me. Well, he would surely be a good step in us taking him down. Well, those agents that he had would be a good step for us to use them. What do you mean? I could sense it. They were completely broken. They have no mind of their own. They were nothing but pawns. She slipped over as she wrapped herself around her body, her body moving like a black smoke. As she coiled around him, her head rested on his neck. But you would do anything for me as well, won't you, Naruto-kun? As a tail wrapped up the both of them and brought them closer. For us, won't you? Said the Kyuubi. Of course. Anything at all. Jashin smiled. Well, he's not the only one that hate Minato. There's an entire village out there that hate Minato. They will be useful as well. Meanwhile, the hidden stone. A kunai was embedded in Minato's skull. Well, it wasn't really Minato, it was a picture. The one who just tossed it was none other than Oniki, still bitter from the loss of the war, where thousands of his men were slaughtered by that one man. Minato and Namikaze, they were forced to sign a true peace with Konoha so that his men wouldn't continue to get slaughtered. But he will have his revenge. Oniki didn't know what was cooking in the works, but soon enough he will have help. Well, it's only a matter of time before someone take that blonde brat down, Oniki thought to himself. He will pay for all that he did to the Hidden Stone, one way or another. If Konoha has to burn doing that, then Oniki did not see any fault in that. But guys, if you ain't subscribed right here, if you want the next part, don't do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.